although I am unborn and imperishable and the Lord of all living entities, yet I appear in this world by my Yogamaya power in my original divine form. What a beautiful verse. There's a big debate that goes on in Hinduism, whether God can have a form or he is only formless. There are arguments given on both sides. In general, people love to believe that God cannot have a form because their experience in the world was with forms, and that was disappointing. Wherever they saw forms, they also saw defects. They also saw problems. So they said, if there is a God, he must be without form, because God must be free from defects. However, there's another aspect to this argument. If God cannot have a form, then we are limiting him. If we are saying that God does not have the ability to take on a form, then he is not Sarva Shaktiman. If he is the possessor of infinite powers, then he also has the power to take on a form. We souls, who are so tiny, we have also taken on forms. And not one, in innumerable lifetimes, innumerable forms. So if we souls can take on a form, what is the problem in God taking on a form? And after all, think, how did this world get made? The Vedas say, Tasmad va etasmad atmana akasha sambhuta akashad vayor vayor agni agnerapa adabhya prithvi prithivyaaushadhaya aushadhibhyonnam annat purushah savaesha purushonnarasamayah. The Taittiriya Upanishad states that the first element that got created was space. See, we take space for granted, but if there was no space, there could have been no creation. So the first element to get created was space. And that space is without attributes. You can't touch it, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't hear it. From space, God created air. In air, quality of touch came. You can feel the air, while you can't feel space. So the Father did not have attributes, the Son developed an attribute. You could not touch space, and space is the source of air, and air you can touch. And from air came fire, and fire you can see. Air you could not see, fire you can see. Again, one attribute got added. From fire was made water, and water you can taste. Rasoham apsu kaunteya, Arjun, I am the taste in water. So again an additional attribute got added. And from water, the earth got created. In earth, the quality of smell came, which did not exist in water. And from earth, the living entities were born. This whole world manifested full of forms and shapes. So how did this world, Sakar, full of forms, get created? From Nirakar, from space, that which had no attributes. So how did the formless come into form? How did space convert into this whole creation? can say, Swamiji, there was one Bhagavan who was guiding it. That is exactly the point. If the Lord has so many powers that from sheer space He can manifest all of creation, then does He not have the power to take on a form Himself? Or is it He says, I don't have the ability to manifest in a personal form, hence I am only formless. That will not be the all-powerful God, that will be Alpa Shaktiman Bhagavan. If we accept that God is Sarva Shaktiman, then we have to accept that He has the ability to take on a form. So some people say God is only formless, only. That is incorrect. But there are others who say He only exists in a form. That is also incorrect. Because in that case, if He is in Dwarka, then He cannot be in Maryland. He is only in one place. So He is all pervading as well. He is just confirming it for you. The debate is, some people say only formless, others say only having a form. Now you change that only into also. He is also formless and He is also having a form. That is what the Chandogya Upanishad states of the Samved. Dvevava brahmano rupe murtan chaiva murtan cha. Murt, amurt. And Shankaracharya writes, Murtan chaiva murtan dve eva brahmano rupe ityupanishad tayorva dvau bhaktau bhagavadupadishtau kleshada kleshadva muktisyader tayo madhye. So the problem is resolved. But when we accept that God has a form, the question arises, how does He get born in this world? Is it like we human beings are born? From a mother's womb, we reside in the mother's womb, where our body develops over 9 months, and then we manifest. So does Bhagavan, did He get made in the womb of Devaki? Or did He come from the outside? Because Bhagavatam states, Avirasid yatha prachyam dishinduriva pushkalaha. Like the moon manifests, it doesn't get made. It just manifests. Likewise, Sri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan manifested in the jailhouse of Kans. So if He manifested, He must have jumped in from the window. No, Swamiji, if Bhagavan had an avatar, if He had a Jan, then it must have been from the mother's womb. For Bhagavan, don't say Jan, birth, say avatar. Why should we say avatar? We celebrate Janmashtami. When we celebrate Janmashtami, that means Bhagavan has Jan. So Jan means birth. If He has a birth, then it should be born from the mother's womb. So this question arises, and as we will see later on, to resolve this question is critical to Bhakti. So the answer to this, Sri Krishna says, Arjuna, there's a difference. Although you are taking birth, I am also taking birth. There's a difference between your birth and my birth. One doctor was taking a class on surgery. So these budding surgeons were in front of him, and he had come as a guest speaker. And he informed the students that to be a good surgeon, you need 2 important qualities. The first is a very sharp power of observation. And the second is ability to control nausea. Because you cut the body open, ability to control your nausea. So he said, all right, let's check it out. He poured a very nauseating fluid into a plate in front of him. The smell itself was almost causing people to vomit. And then he put his finger into it. And he put the finger in the mouth. And he asked them all to go ahead and do it. Now they all grimaced, but it's a question of testing whether they have the ability to be a surgeon or not. So they steeled their nerves and exerted self-control and put the finger in with great difficulty controlling the vomit. The surgeon said, ladies and gentlemen, you have passed the second test, the ability to control nausea. However, you failed on the first one, the power of observation. I had dipped my second finger into the fluid and first finger into the mouth. You did not realize. Likewise, you say, Arjun took birth, Sri Krishna took birth. It's all the same. Sri Krishna says, Arjun, there's a big difference. My birth is divine. So, I come by the power of my Yoga Maya. It may seem to the world that I am coming from Devaki, but that's not the reality. Like, for example, when Bhagavan manifested. So the Bhagavatam states, Mana Anaka Dundubhe. First of all, Sri Krishna was sitting in the heart, in the mind of Vasudeva, Anaka Dundubhe. He was just sitting there. These will be the fathers in this life. And then after that, he was pretending to be sitting in the womb of Devaki. So like a worldly mother, Devaki's womb was filling up for 9 months. And then suddenly it emptied. And he manifested in front in his 6-foot form as Vishnu with the 4 arms holding the Shankh Chakra Gada Padma. So this 6-foot Bhagavan, would it have come from Devaki's stomach? Bhagavan has the Sudarshan disc in his hand. That Sudarshan disc is so sharp it could cut anything. With that disc, if he had sat in Devaki's womb, imagine Devaki's discomfort. She would have had a surgical procedure right there. So Bhagavan was just pretending. And then he manifested and Devaki accepted. You are not my child. I know, Maharaj. Rupam yattat prahuravyaktamadhyam brahma jyotir nirgunam nirvikaram sattamatram nirvishesham niriyam sattvam sakshat vishnuradhyatmadipah. So she says, that Lord who is all-pervading, who is famous in the world as Sri Vishnu, that is who you are. You are not my child, you are my father's 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 ultimate father, Manuji Maharaj, father, Brahma, his father. And I also know why you have come. I had prayed and prayed, God, please come as my child. But you have come as my father. How will I experience the love of my mother? So she says, Upasanghara Vishvatman Nado Rupamalaukikam. Maharaj, please hide this form of yours. And please begin the Leela. Start your acting, begin the drama. And that is when Vishnuji says, all right, I am going to become little Sri Krishna, and this is what you have to do, Vasudevji. So that same Bhagavan, he said, I just came to let you know, so that in future people don't have confusion. He is the child of Devaki, how can he be God? Otherwise they'll doubt. So Bhagavan Ram did the same thing. When he manifested to Kaushalya, Bhaya Prakat Kripala Dina Dayala Kaushalya Hitakari Harashit Mahatari Muni Manahari Adbhut Nupanihari. So in front of Kaushalya, again he manifested in his four-armed form, Chaturbhuj Roop. And Kaushalya also said, Kijay Shishu Leela Ati Priya Sheela. So she said, Maharaj, please start your Leela. And then that Vishnuji took on the form of baby Ram. He said, I just wanted to let you know so that there should be no confusions. He became baby Ram and then the Leela began. So he is doing Nar Leela. He is pretending to be human. Now what does a human child do when it is born? It cries. So Bhagavan was also going to cry because it's Nar Leela. But before crying, he laughs. Prabhu Musakana, then Rodanathana. So no baby laughs and then cries. Why is Bhagavan doing that? He is doing it just to let know the drama is going to begin. The curtain will be lifted. And when the curtain is lifted by Yogamaya, the first scene is Rodanathana. The child is crying and Kaushalya says, all right, the child is born. Tell Dasharathji, the whole world is seeing. What are they seeing? That Ram is born from Kaushalya. But the fact is, Bhagavan, what need does he have to hang upside down in the womb? He is not crazy. He only creates that illusion by his Yogamaya and then manifests from the outside. So he is saying that Arjun, I am a Janma. This Aj, this word Aj, means without birth. And yet I descend. Hare Maharaj, please pick one option. There is multiple choice. Either you are without birth or you take birth. Now you are not allowed to pick two. Shri Krishna says, Arjun, I possess innumerable contradictory attributes at the same time. See that Bhagavan. Does he have senses or does he have no senses? The Padma Puran says God doesn't have senses like us. Nirupam nirguna vyapi. And the Upanishads are saying Sarvendriya gunabhasam Sarvendriya vivarjitam Sarvasya prabhumishanam Sarvasya sharanam surit. God is not like us to have eyes, ear, nose, etc. But the same Upanishads are saying Sahasra Rekha Purokha Sahasraksha Sahasrapata Sabhumigvam Sarvatas Pritva Tyatishna Dashangulam. Everywhere are God's eyes. Everywhere are his hands and heads and feet. Hare, you were saying he doesn't have any eyes? That is also correct. Now you are saying he's got thousands of eyes? That is also correct. Whatever you do, he is looking. If he doesn't have eyes, then how will he look? Whatever you say, he is hearing. If he doesn't have ears, then how will he hear? And God's senses are also chamatkari, miraculous. We people see with the eyes, we hear with the ears, and we smell with the nose. If God likes, Angani asya sakalendriya vritti manti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti. He can smell with his eyes and see with his ears and hear with his nose. And if he likes, merely with the nose, he will see, hear, smell, feel, taste, touch. And if he likes, without any of the senses, he'll do the work of all the senses. So, that is the all-powerful God. He says here, Arjun, I am unborn, yet I take birth. How? By my Yogamaya. Our birth is material. God's birth is divine. How does he arrange for it? The Yoga Maya. So he is calling that Yoga Maya here as Atma Maya, personal Maya.